In a world where prisons are typically places designed to confine and rehabilitate, there exists a unique institution where the goal is not rehabilitation but survival. This place is called the Escape from Alcatraz, but it's not about a typical prison break. In this instance, the escape is just the beginning of a terrifying game where freedom comes with a horrifying consequence: being hunted. Located in the remote corners of the United States, this prison stands as a monument to extreme punishment. Inmates aren't just locked behind bars, they're placed in a desolate, isolated environment where they have to outsmart and outlast their captors in order to escape. But as the name implies, escaping only begins a journey that could lead to much worse than incarceration. Inmates who manage to escape from this highly secure facility find themselves being hunted by a team of highly trained individuals who take their job very seriously. The hunting team, often composed of former military personnel, is tasked with tracking down escaped inmates. It's not just about recapturing them, the pursuit is designed to be a psychological game. The escapees are given a head start, but once that head start is over, the hunt begins. Every move, every misstep, every ounce of hesitation is captured on the hunter's radar. Once the escapee is spotted, the clock is ticking and the pursuit is on. What makes this experience more than just a physical pursuit is the intense mental challenge that comes with it. The escapees have to use every ounce of their wits and physical endurance to evade the hunters. They need to know the terrain, understand their weaknesses, and remain calm under pressure. The whole experience plays out like a game of cat and mouse, but with the stakes far higher. The escapees are not given the luxury of an easy escape, it's a constant battle against time and fear. The prison itself is equipped with state-of-the-art technology to ensure no inmate can escape without leaving a trail. Surveillance cameras, sensors, and advanced tracking systems make it nearly impossible to escape undetected. Even if an inmate manages to breach the perimeter, the hunters are always just a few steps behind, using their training to track them down. What's even more chilling is the psychological warfare employed by the hunting team. The hunters often communicate through loudspeakers or other methods, trying to instill fear in the escapees. They might play eerie sounds or use psychological tactics to get the escapees to make mistakes. It's a tactic that forces the escapees to stay alert at all times, never knowing when or where the next move might come from. In many ways, the concept behind this prison and its associated hunting game is rooted in the darker aspects of human psychology. It taps into our primal instincts, fear, survival, and the will to escape at any cost. The inmates who find themselves in this twisted game are often pushed to their limits, forced to make decisions that could either lead them to freedom or bring them closer to being hunted down. But it's not just the escapees who are at risk. The hunters too face their own challenges. They must track down the escapees without getting caught off guard. They need to be prepared for anything, from treacherous terrain to the possibility that the escapee may turn the tables and make an unexpected move. As the game progresses, the tension only increases. Every hour that passes without a capture makes the escapees more desperate and the hunters more determined. The environment itself, whether it's a dense forest, a rocky cliff, or a vast desert, becomes part of the challenge. The terrain itself plays a pivotal role in how the hunt unfolds, shaping the escapees' strategies and the hunters' tactics. Escapees often form alliances with other inmates, but these alliances are fragile. In a place like this, trust is a luxury that many can't afford. The need for self-preservation often leads to betrayal, with one inmate turning on another to secure their own survival. The psychological toll is immense, and the game often leaves emotional scars on everyone involved. The success of the hunt is not only determined by how well the hunters perform, but also by how well the escapees adapt. Those who succeed are often the ones who can stay calm, think ahead, and keep a low profile. They know when to move, when to hide, and when to make a bold move. It's a test of both physical and mental endurance that pushes everyone to their limits. For those who are eventually caught, the punishment is swift and severe. The prisoners are brought back to the facility, their chances of freedom completely wiped away. The psychological toll of being hunted down only adds to the harshness of their situation. The escape, the hope for freedom, becomes nothing more than a fleeting memory. This prison isn't just a place to incarcerate criminals, it's a system built around the concept of ultimate survival. The inmates are not treated like mere prisoners, but as participants in an extreme version of a deadly game. It's a twisted, dark reflection of human nature where survival is not guaranteed and the consequences of failure are dire. Inmates come from all walks of life, but they all share one thing in common: they have been chosen for the ultimate test. Some are there because of violent crimes, while others have been sent to the prison for lesser offenses. The The hunting game doesn't discriminate, it's a game of survival, and every inmate is a participant regardless of their past. For many, the opportunity to escape and take part in this hunt is a once-in-a-lifetime chance. It's an opportunity to prove their worth, to test their physical and mental limits in a way that no other prison could ever offer. The stakes are higher than anything they could ever imagine, and for those who succeed, the rewards are equally extraordinary. But it's not just about escape. It's about testing the human spirit, pushing boundaries, and seeing how far a person can go when faced with the most extreme of circumstances. The hunting game isn't just about the thrill of the chase, it's a reflection of the human desire for freedom and the price that comes with it. Escapees who manage to evade capture for a prolonged period often gain a sense of accomplishment. But the reality is that only a few make it out alive, and even fewer escape without being mentally scarred. The physical toll of the hunt is one thing, but the psychological damage is far more profound. As the game nears its end, the pressure mounts. Escapees begin to make more desperate moves, sometimes abandoning all caution in hopes of a final, dramatic escape. The hunters, however, are ready for these kinds of moves. They've seen it all before, and they know how to anticipate every possible escape tactic. In many ways, this prison is an experiment in human resilience. It tests not only the physical strength of its inmates but also their emotional and psychological resilience. It's about endurance, about holding on to hope when everything around you seems to be falling apart. It's a test of willpower, where every decision you make could lead to freedom or to an untimely end. And yet, the cycle continues. New inmates are brought in, and the cycle of escape and pursuit starts anew. Each time, the stakes grow higher, the game more intense, and the risks greater. The concept of being hunted, of never truly knowing if you're free or if you're still being tracked, becomes a constant presence in the minds of the escapees. Some inmates try to outwit the system, using clever distractions and decoys to throw off their pursuers. Others rely on physical endurance, hoping that sheer stamina will allow them to outrun their hunters. But no matter how they try to play the game, one truth remains: in this prison, the odds are always stacked against them. The most successful escapees often have a combination of intellect, physical skill, and an unbreakable will to survive. They know how to keep calm, how to outthink their pursuers, and how to use their surroundings to their advantage. They are the ones who make it the farthest and who make the hunters work harder than they ever have before. As the hunt comes to a close, whether it ends in escape or recapture, the prisoners leave with a sense of accomplishment or with the realization that the game never truly ends. In this world, there's no permanent escape. No matter how far you run, no matter how fast you think you are, the system will always find a way to bring you back. And when it does, the cycle starts once more. In the end, the true purpose of this prison is not just to punish, but to push its participants to their limits, physically, emotionally, and mentally. It's a place where survival is the ultimate test, and where failure isn't just inevitable, but a constant part of the process. For the lucky few who manage to escape, they know they've been through something that most people can't even begin to comprehend. They've played the ultimate game of survival, and they've come out the other side. But for the majority, the hunt never ends. It's always waiting, just around the corner, ready to begin again. In the end, this prison stands as a testament to human nature at its most extreme. It's a place where the rules of society no longer apply, and the only law is survival. It's a place where freedom is an illusion, and the only true certainty is the chase. And as long as the system exists, the hunt will never truly end. And so, the cycle continues. The hunt never stops, and neither does the pursuit of freedom. As long as this twisted game continues, the lines between hunter and hunted blur, and the very concept of freedom becomes something far more complex. It's no longer about escaping a physical prison, but about navigating a psychological maze where trust, survival, and fear are constantly in play. In this world, every escape is just a brief respite, and every chase is a reminder that true freedom may never be fully attainable. The truth of this system is that no one really wins. Even the escapees who make it out alive are forever changed. Their minds are twisted by the fear, the anxiety, and the overwhelming pressure of being hunted. It's a game that strips away everything they thought they knew about themselves. When you've lived with the constant fear of being tracked and chased, it's impossible to ever fully relax. The trauma lingers far beyond the walls of the prison, haunting those who manage to escape. The hunters, too, are affected. Though they are trained professionals, the nature of their job is not as simple as it may seem. They must maintain a certain level of detachment from their targets, yet there is always the psychological toll of tracking another human being for the sake of the game. They aren't just hunting animals, they're hunting people. And no matter how professional they are, the human element always creeps in. It's a chilling reminder that in this game, both sides lose something of themselves. The escapees who fail to make it are often sent back to the facility broken in both body and spirit. The thrill of freedom is a fleeting illusion, and the reality of being caught is far worse than any punishment they could have imagined. Those who make it back are often subjected to even harsher conditions, as the system views them as failures who need to be further broken. The escape becomes a reminder of their own inadequacies, a haunting memory of what could have been. The prison's reputation grows as more and more people hear about the extreme lengths to which it will go to punish those who attempt to escape. It becomes a dark symbol of survival and despair, a place where the human will is tested in ways that no other prison can replicate. And as the years pass, the game becomes more sophisticated. New tactics are introduced. Technology advances, making the hunt even more difficult to evade. Drones, heat sensors, and even artificial intelligence are employed to track down escapees. The game has become a high-tech nightmare. But even with all the technology, there are still those who manage to outsmart the system. They hide in the shadows, using their environment to their advantage. Some even go so far as to live off the land, evading detection by using primitive survival tactics. They become ghosts, moving in and out of the terrain without leaving a trace. They know that in this game, the more you hide, the less chance you have of being found. Despite the psychological and physical toll it takes on both the escapees and the hunters, the prison system continues to grow in popularity. For some, it becomes a game of pride, a challenge to see who can outwit the system. For others, it's a final chance at freedom, a desperate attempt to break free from a life they no longer want to live. But in the end, it's the system that wins. The prison is designed to be unbreakable, and every escape attempt only further proves that. The prison itself has become something of a legend. People speak of it in hushed tones, not just as a place of incarceration, but as a living, breathing entity. It evolves over time, adapting to new threats and new tactics. The system becomes a monster of its own, one that constantly grows and adapts, making the game even more deadly. It's no longer just a prison, it's a machine, a ruthless engine designed to break those who dare to challenge it. Inmates come and go, but the system remains. The game never ends. The prison continues to recruit the most dangerous and desperate individuals, knowing full well that they are the ones most likely to survive the hunt. The challenge is not just about capturing them, it's about seeing how far they will go to escape. And in this twisted game, that's where the true thrill lies. It's not about the end, but about the journey. It's about seeing how far the human spirit can be pushed before it breaks. As technology advances, the game becomes even more complex. Drones hover above the terrain, tracking every movement. Sensors in the ground can detect the slightest shift in weight, and cameras are hidden in trees, on rocks, and even underground. The escapees have to be smarter than ever before. They can no longer rely on simple tricks or speed. They must become experts in evasion, using every tool at their disposal to stay hidden from the ever-watchful eye of the hunters. Some escapees have even started working together, forming alliances, and helping each other out. They know that survival is more likely if they combine their resources and knowledge. But these alliances are fragile. In a game where trust is a luxury, betrayal is always a risk. The stronger players often use the weaker ones as bait, setting them up to take the fall while they make their escape. It's a brutal, cutthroat game where only the most ruthless make it to the end. But there are also those who manage to escape the system entirely. These rare few vanish without a trace, becoming legends in their own right. Some believe they've found a way to beat the system, to disappear into the wilderness and live out their lives in peace. Others think they were never really free, that the system simply let them go for reasons unknown. Either way, these escapees are the ones who give others hope. They are the ones who prove that it's possible to beat the game. Yet, as time goes on, the system tightens its grip. The more people escape, the more the hunters adapt. The game becomes more complex, more deadly, and more unforgiving. The prison evolves, always staying one step ahead of those who try to challenge it. And as it evolves, it becomes more difficult for anyone to escape, not just physically, but psychologically as well. Some prisoners start to lose themselves in the process. The stress of being hunted constantly wears on their minds, and they begin to crack under the pressure. The constant anxiety, the never-ending fear, takes its toll on even the toughest individuals. They start to doubt their abilities, second-guessing their every move. What once seemed like a clever plan turns into a dangerous mistake. And in this game, mistakes are fatal. For others, the hunt becomes an obsession. They cannot stop. Even when they are caught, they are driven to escape again. It becomes a twisted addiction, a need to outwit the system and prove to themselves that they can win. These individuals are the true survivors, the ones who can never let go of the game. They live for the thrill of the hunt, the rush of freedom, and the chase itself. But the prison is always watching. It is always ready for the next round, the next escape, the next hunt. It is a system designed to never stop, to keep going no matter how many people fail, how many people try to escape. It's a machine that grinds away at the spirit, crushing everything in its path. The prison doesn't care about the individual, it only cares about the game. And as long as the game continues, the prison will remain a terrifying force in the world. Those who are caught and returned to the prison are often forced into a deeper level of isolation. The punishment becomes harsher, the conditions more brutal. They are stripped of any hope they once had, left to rot in a place where escape is a distant memory. But for some, this is just the beginning. The desire to escape doesn't die. It only grows stronger. And when the next opportunity arises, they are ready. For the system itself, the game is never over. It continues to evolve, becoming more sophisticated with each passing year. The technology advances, the hunting teams become more skilled, and the stakes grow higher. The prison becomes a legend, a place where the human spirit is tested in ways that no other system can replicate. And no matter how many escapees there are, the system will always be there, waiting for the next challenge.